people? This is Matt Fisher back with another exciting video for you guys today, as always. And I recently picked up a Google Pixel and I absolutely love it. So now I'm actually rocking two phones. I got my personal phone, which is an iPhone, and then I got a Google Pixel for work. So I figured I would show you guys what's on my phone video for both my iPhone and my Google Pixel. So I wanted to start off with my iPhone first. And right off the bat, you guys will probably notice that I have a lot of stock apps on my homepage. I don't know if you guys do this, but for whatever reason, I don't know if you'd call it OCD, but I try to keep my homepage looking as stock as possible. And I know there's a bunch of apps that are removed and not here, but there's a handful of these stock apps like notes, reminders, that I just never use, that I keep on here just so this has a certain look. It's kind of weird. But for third-party apps, the only three I have on my homepage are Pushbullet, Alexa, and Trello. Alexa is pretty self-explanatory. That's what I use to set up and control my Amazon Echo. Pushbullet I use primarily just for sending files back and forth between my devices, so my computers and my phones, or between phones, or between computers. So it's just using it for sending GIFs and files back and forth. You know, if I have to edit something on the computer, or if I took a picture with my Pixel and I want to tweet out with my iPhone or something. Trello is project management, I guess you could call it. It's board style, so you could create a board and then create different sections on that board. So like with YouTube, for example, I just have a bunch of categories for future video ideas, stuff to look at, all that jazz. On the second page is when we sort of start to get a little bit more fancier. Everything on here you probably already know, at least in that first top row. Strava I use for running. Favor is very similar to Postmates or Grubhub or Foodler. That's like whatever you want delivered from, I don't know, Chipotle to Morton's Steakhouse. Uber and Dunkin' Donuts are also pretty explanatory. Third row, nothing really too much there. This fourth row though, so Duo Mobile is a two-factor authentication app, and you can pretty much set that up with any service. I could even set up with Snapchat, I think, if you wanted to. Anything that supports a authentication app, you can use Duo for, so I use that for work. Google, Facebook, you guys saw. This Horizon app, this is what I use to remote into work. I don't want to open it just because there's some personal stuff in there, but that's what I use to remote into our work network. Sometimes I have to do stuff on the fly from my phone, so that's why that's on there. Chrome Remote Desktop, I use that to remote back to my computers here at home from work oftentimes, or if I'm just on the street somewhere and I need to access something, or maybe I forgot to upload today's video and I need to do that. And then with the JetBlue app, that is for just, you know, JetBlue related stuff, looking at boarding passes, itineraries, that sort of thing. The Eve app, this is for my Elgato Eve. This is essentially a, I don't know what you'd call it, an outlet monitoring device. It's a smart device. I have to set it up because I recently reset it. But basically, it will track the usage that's going through that outlet, and I can put it on a timer to turn off at certain times, or I can say at a certain threshold you need to turn off. Songkick, I use that for tracking artists, you know, when they come to town or if they're nearby, so I can know when a concert comes up, because all the time I find out that I have my favorite artist coming into town and they announced this tour like 2 weeks ago and now I can't get tickets because they're sold out, or if I can buy them, they're on StubHub for like triple the price. Shazam, we're all familiar with that. M-Ticket, that is for the MBTA, that is the public transit system here in Boston. Xfinity My Account. Doodle Jump, that is literally the only game I play ever on mobile is Doodle Jump. This is one of the OG games too. I think this is one of the first launch games with the iPhone, and I still play it to this day. It is my absolute favorite. And then lastly, in the attic, widgets, that allows you to add stuff to this sort of notification area. So I have like a 30-second timer here for stuff. Gboard, that is because my keyboard of choice is Gboard, which they just updated to add new emojis and whatnot, and it gives you swipe functionality. A lot of people know what Gboard is, and Then I have the rest of the Apple iPhone apps that I didn't want to keep on the front page that I actually have replacements for. So instead of Safari, I use Google Chrome. And instead of the music app, I use this thing called Cesium, which I wanted to make an entire new video on, a separate video on, but I'll show you guys a little bit here. I just like it a lot better than the music app. It has an old style interface. Really, the number one reason is because when I tap an artist, I can get all of their songs. I forget what iOS, I think it was either 8 or 9, Apple changed it so when you tap an artist, you get their discography, and then you can look at their songs. And that requires you to memorize, you know, what songs are on which album, and I don't want to do that. So the main feature I like about Cesium is just that I can sort by artist, and then I can sort by song. And that's going to do it for my iPhone. So now let's hop over to my Google Pixel. So now we moved over to my Google Pixel phone. I don't want to say I just got this. I probably got this in December, so I've had it for a couple months. I've had some time to play around with it, but this is a work phone, so this isn't entirely personalized, I'll say. A lot of stuff on here is probably still default or stock, or I haven't even discovered that feature yet. For starters, right now I'm using the Nova launcher. This is not the default Google Pixel launcher, not because I didn't like that launcher. One thing they added that was really cool is you can get your Google Now cards by swiping to the left. That is not built into any other launcher, so you lose that functionality, but it didn't really have a lot of customization options, and this being my first Android phone, I really wanted to explore all the customization options that it had. So that is why I decided to go with Nova Launcher. In terms of widgets that I'm using, I believe this one is called The Month, and this just gives me an overview of my entire month, shows me what days I have a lot of events on, what days I don't have a lot of events on. I can just tap it and find out. My other widget that I use, I believe, is called Event Flow, and what that does is that just sort of goes into more detail about what I have on specific days. So I can swipe to the left and see my month as a whole, or I can swipe to the right and see my day more specifically, which I really like. For apps, you guys will notice that I don't have any apps on my homepage, and that is because I put them all in the dock. One cool thing about Nova Launcher is that you can have a sliding dock. So I have just the immediate apps that I use, Mail, Photos, Google Chrome, the camera app. And next I have my social media icons. And then after that are sort of the apps that I've been using the most. So Google Keep, that's what I use to take notes, to-do lists, shopping lists. Push Bullet, I talked about that with my iPhone. And then I have two emulators, one for Nintendo and one for the Game Boy Advance, to play Pokemon, obviously. And if we tap on the app drawer, we can see all the apps I use. I haven't downloaded too many apps so far. Let's see, Cinema FV5. That is what I use to actually film my videos with. You can get some more functionality out of the camera, like ISO and exposure and frame rates and whatnot. Daydream, that is what's used to do the VR experience on the Google Pixel. Duo, I talked about that with the iPhone. Event Flow, I showed that to you guys. HBO Go VR, pretty self-explanatory. Moatboat, that is an extremely fun game. It's for VR. Imagine you're put into a Minecraft world and you're God. So you can say commands like, give me a tree, give me some sheep, give me a hospital, put people in the hospital, make the hospital fall into a sinkhole, that sort of thing. So you really do get to be God, you get to be really creative, which is, it makes it a fun game. Street View, that is also another VR app that I use. You know, you can be like, hey, take me to the Eiffel Tower, and you can get a view of the Eiffel Tower in VR, which is pretty nice. And then I have VLC and VRTV, and those are just apps to play VR files. So if I download a VR movie and I put it onto the Google Pixel, the default Photos app can't play that movie properly with VR. It doesn't do the layering. So I need another app that will actually display the VR movie properly in the VR headset. So that's what I use VRTV for, or sometimes VLC, depending on the movie format. But with that, I think that's everything on my Google Pixel. My wallpaper is a default live wallpaper. I like it a lot. It changes based on the time of day and the weather. But like I said, I think that wraps up what I have on my phones. I'll have links to some of these more unique apps in the description down below, and if I skip one, feel free to drop me a comment, and I'll send you guys a link to it. But that is going to wrap up the video that I have for you guys today. Again, all the links that you need to all the apps that I'm using will be in the description down below. But other than that, guys, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, enjoy the rest of your day, and take care.